on the #1 streaming radio app now.
iHeartRadio.
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 Free never sounded so good.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. Be a part of the show by calling 915-544-KTSM, 915-544-5876, or comment online on our stream at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. It's 4 p.m. Mountain Time, and that means it's time to talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I am your host, Andrew J. Polk, and thank you for tuning in however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media pages we're up on these days, facebook.com/Talk El Paso, the Talk El Paso channel over on YouTube, Twitter @Talk El Paso, or twitch.tv, Andrew J. Polk. Do appreciate y'all sticking around with us, being here, and continuing on as we continue on our missions to have live local talk radio here in the Borderland, which isn't going anywhere anytime soon. Let me tell you about that right now. But then also to talk about those things, because no one else is going to have that discussion like we do here in the Borderland. People being affected by, dealing with, having to live through the consequences, impacts, etc. of just all of these subjects. We got a bunch on here, but just in case anyone missed, we were back on air Friday live, but I didn't do as much fanfare as we could have on that one, as it wasn't entirely guaranteed that that was going to be the situation. But for anyone wondering what's been going on with the show, as it is the start of a new week, and anyone checking back in fresh, yes, reports of my demise have been greatly exaggerated, and we are back here, back live, back doing the things that we do here. And yeah, we are away, and away here we go. But just to kind of reiterate, in case anyone missed the last show, is that yes, I've been out the last couple of weeks because of and celebrating and dealing with the consequences in our own right of the birth of our first son, AJP Jr. So that's that situation. And just to make that clear for anyone else, but we're still going to be doing the things that we do here, make no mistake. I just might be having a little bit more bags under my eyes, particularly for those looking over on the social media. And if the words suddenly don't make sense, please let me know, because I might not totally know at that point. I'm pretty sure it's Monday, right, y'all? In any case, we do have a lot to talk about here. I am positive it better be Monday, let's put it that way, because among other things, yes, it is Happy Columbus and or Indigenous Peoples Day. I'm not going to ding anyone for doing one or the other. Both have and continue to serve purposes in certain ways, though they are both federally recognized. Keep that in mind there as well. So we also have Ida Beza-Gardner and Robert Gable chiming in with us over on the social media, but also a lot of things going on directly in the Borderland that we will certainly get into. And including that, yes, some of those border security and immigration situations we've been going through and dealing with in the Borderland region, continuing to shift, including some of those backups. We've seen a couple of different ways in recent years, impacts on cargo specifically. And so now Bridge of the Americas opening commercial lanes here soon. We'll talk about that one here, as well as more fallout coming from the whole gas card situation with El Paso's City Council, another ethics complaint moving forward against now a former city rep. So we'll talk about that a little bit as well. Also, we have a chief of police, y'all. We'll talk about that one a little bit as well, because we haven't really delved into it. And oh yeah, there's an election coming up. And so very specifically, besides maybe starting to delve into, there's 14 constitutional amendments on there, at least one that specifically mentions El Paso, but they get a little bit, as much as long as the just reading of them is, getting into the background of them is going to be complicated enough. So maybe we'll start delving into those today. But also from the Texas legislature, the one that then set these constitutional amendments in motion. Oh, we got that next special session going on, and it's. You ever thought anything involving the Texas legislature was simple lately? I really need you to pay a little bit more attention, because no, it's not. B, it's also contentious as hell coming out of that failed ouster for, I guess, still technically in battle, though not in the same way he was before, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. He's back in position now, and with a fury and or vengeance, including possible criminal complaints against the Texas House impeachment managers. So yeah, there's a lot going on, y'all. I know we got a little bit of catch up to do, including like the chief of police thing. It's not brand new, but hey, let's talk about it. But then there's still tons going on, and I'm not sure we'll have a catch up, but we'll do our level best here. John Brazelton, I was looking forward to your comment of you leave for a month's vacation. When I come back, guess who's gone? So, okay, it was a month for you. It was 2 weeks on this end, but don't worry, we're back and doing everything Amanda Moncada over on the Twitch stream. Do appreciate it. Appreciate you sticking around with us as well. And definitely have to give a certain and very special shout out to producer Amber Banda, who held down the fort while we were out of this and out of here, bringing you some of our previous great interviews, some of which y'all may have heard previously, but particularly when it comes to just the on-air part of it. I mean, sure, if you're online, you can go back and see all of the previous things that made it through to Facebook or any of these social medias we've been up on. That's the beauty of that. It serves as an archive, but for those that don't have that or you don't have the time, that's the reason we do it, and keep those archives, and that'll be the plan for some of the any potential future out of town and out of office time anyway, except for maybe those major holidays in which we do have some national replacement programming and putting. But in any case, let's dive right into it. Appreciate y'all again chiming in with us and letting us know your 2 cents, as there's a lot to put your sense in about. So one of the upshots, and probably one of the more, okay, not that any of the border security and immigration situations we deal with here in the Borderland are unimpactful in a broad sense, but even then, particularly given the way that it has been handled and continued to be managed by local, state, and federal authorities, particularly on the immigration side of things and dealing with it, processing, going through and setting up for those future court dates, etc. All of that, unless you're really involved with it or in, like, say, the South Central area or the areas in which there have been large amounts of traffic, anyone immediately next to some of those, border fence areas, yeah, you've certainly seen impacts. But for the larger community as a whole, I would be willing to argue, and I think some people would agree, that the issues with commercial traffic have maybe a wider and broader impact on, the region as a whole, and of course beyond. So one of the things going on with this, I don't know if surge is the right term, but certainly a lot more going on, as has been borne out by, among other things, the numbers that can be seen over elpasotexas.gov/migrant-crisis, the migrant situational awareness dashboard, showing that, yeah, I mean, we were ramping up for some weeks toward from about the middle to this last quarter of the year we've been in right now, and then they're getting into, then we saw the real ramp up in the last month or so, specifically looking at the 37th week of the year, which I don't think about years that way, so I could figure out if I took a minute. I just don't have that right in my mind here right now. But looking at lower numbers, at least so far this week, been ramping back down, even if different operations have been going on. In any case, part of the situation that went on is that actually there was a standoff and even a breakthrough on the Mexican side of things, southern part of the border, not even just through the and crossing across the Rio Grande and then going to the checkpoints, barriers, etc. The Mexican National Guard, the Guardia Nacional, actually had themselves with a line of vehicles, blockades, human walls, and going straight through that, saying we're not getting the audio over on Facebook. So you might want to try restarting, because we got some people getting the audio through there. But Richard Janicek, try restarting and let us know if that works. If we're having an issue over there, we can do the digital percussive maintenance. Since you can't hit it, you have to turn it back on, off and back on again. In any case, that situation, seeing a lot higher numbers, therefore, on this side of things, even though resettlement is still not the major part of it. In any case, what part of the impacts was because of the large numbers is that Bridge of the Americas, the commercial operations specifically, along with some parts of the bridge overall, had to be shut down, and continuously so, and only looking at that reopening now happening as of Tuesday. According to our news partners over at KFOX 14, Bridge of the Americas to partially reopen commercial lanes on Tuesday, and specifically the CEO of the Borderplex Alliance applauding the decision, but continues urging increased resources and staffing at all of the ports of entry. So the partial reopening, Tuesday, hours of operation 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., so not fully, but what the CBP is saying in their statement, quote, as of Tuesday, October 10th, the facility will be open from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. Monday through Friday. CBP continues to encourage members of the trade community to consider other nearby commercial cargo facilities located at the ports of Isleta, Marcelino Serna, Tornillo, and Santa Teresa. Hours of operation at Tornillo and Santa Teresa remain extended to ensure the safe and orderly processing of cargo and support the needs of the trade community. CBP regularly plans for and executes contingency measures to support the overarching agency mission and ensure the safety and well-being of those in the agency's custody. CBP will continue to evaluate the situation and make operational changes as necessary. Stakeholders will be provided updates to changes or suspension of operations as they become available. So, yeah, it's been pretty significant and pretty major impact going on in that whole situation. And we've seen certain things getting delayed, not quite as bad as how many months ago was it at this point? Apparently we're good on over our social media, and RJ putting it very interestingly, my FBU is wall to wall and treetop tall. I have not heard it put that way in a long time. But in any case, this has not been nearly as expansive of an impact as any of the recent, say, other cargo shutdowns, specifically the one that was resulting from what Governor Greg Abbott put into, I think he didn't actually say it this way, but I think it was pretty transparently and at the very least eminently arguable that it was something he put into place, the secondary inspections, 100% secondary inspections that were put into place by his order by Texas DPS of all cargo entering into the state, so everything coming through our area, and except for Santa Teresa, basically. And that one saw, food, produce rotting in trucks as they were waiting for hours, long days, in some weeks, at least one case that I'm aware of. So not as expensive as that, but not great for the local and arguably regional economy, because Bridge of the Americas, Free Bridge, all those kind of things, being one of the more major crossing points. So yeah, it's significant. But as we're also talking about deadlines here and talking about the state things, Tuesday is the voter registration deadline, y'all. So if you're not registered, not prepared to, relocated, done anything that could change any of your voter information, and you're eligible to vote in our area or in Texas in general, you better make sure you're registered, because we have 14 constitutional amendments here in the state of Texas, including one that ends up backing up what will be that change in how school districts and therefore are funded, and therefore the drop in what property taxes are. We'll talk about that one a little bit more, and then get into what the heck is going on with the state legislature and particularly school funding, and vouchers, all of that. Again, complicated time, y'all. A time waits for no time or tide, and there are some other comments here, and you deal with your family the way you want to. But in any case, taking that first break of this hour right now. Coming back after this break, we'll talk a whole lot more about the things going on and affecting us here in the Borderland. So stay tuned. More Talk El Paso after this break here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Stay tuned. Hammer and Nails, not just one of El Paso's greatest men's grooming destinations, but also the official hair and beard sponsor of the show. Since my time out, I have gotten a little bit more woolly on the head and face than I would like, so I am definitely due for my next appointment to go over there and get those premium cut and beard grooming services. Though if you really want to go for the top tier, literally Club Lux is their top level services, where you can get unlimited a number of menu services, including special ones like the Lux 24K hand, foot, and cut experience. Head and foot care, and then the cut experience, somewhere they're not cutting your feet. Though they can do, of course, manicures, pedicures, hand, foot, facial services, literally head to toe coverage on you here to keep you looking and feeling great. And I could use that a little bit of a pick me up myself. So I'll be looking forward to scoring my next appointment. And you can also score some of those giveaways. Congrats to, again, our last winner who won that gift card for the services at Hammer Nails. We'll be doing that again this month, so stay tuned. We'll be giving you those previews over on our social media as we have been. But in any case, make sure to go and check them out. Real simple to book your appointment. Hey, you can walk in and book it there if you find them over at the Fountains at Farrah, 8889 Gateway Boulevard West, Suite 1760. That's the lower level. Or real simple, it took me about 5 minutes my first time to find them online and get everything booked by going to hammerandnailsgrooming.com and looking for the El Paso location. That's hammerandnailsgrooming.com.
News Radio 690. Traffic all day.
Heavy traffic continues on the loop in the East Valley northbound between Montana and the Spurs. A 5-minute delay. Some road restrictions there. An accident on Yandell north of Porfirio Diaz at Hawthorne. A stalled vehicle on South Desert Boulevard at Artcraft is slowing traffic. And an earlier crash on the I-10 eastbound in the East Valley at Zaragoza has cleared up. All lanes are open. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
Are you 55 or older, unemployed, and looking for work? The AARP Foundation Senior Community Service Employment Program serves unemployed low-income persons 55 and older by training them in part-time community service assignments and by assisting them in developing skills to transition to permanent employment. Participants are paid minimum wage and work 18 to 20 hours a week. Let us serve as a bridge to permanent employment for you. Call 855-850-2525 for more information.
This report is sponsored by Blindster.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. If you're like many people, you may think custom blinds is a job for expensive professionals. Well, at Blindster, if you have a tape measure and a screwdriver, you can install our custom blinds and save big. Plus, we guarantee they'll fit. Blindster.com.
If you're on Social Security, you can get your payment early with a Charlie account, just like me. That's right. I get my Social Security payment early each month with my Charlie account. And Charlie handled all the details. 55,000 fee-free ATMs. No monthly fees or minimums with Charlie. Charlie's not a bank, but a financial technology company. Banking services provided by Sutton Bank, member FDIC. So my money is protected. Charlie.com. Get your Charlie account. Charlie.com. I got mine at Charlie.com.
Identity theft shows no signs of slowing down. In fact, more than $29 billion were stolen last year alone. That's a criminal success story and a wake-up call for everyone else. It can be dangerously easy to steal your identity. LifeLock makes it easy to help protect yourself if you become a victim. A dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. Join now and save up to 25% your first year with my name, Clay, as your promo code at LifeLock.com, promo code Clay.
Allison is perfect. I mean, she'd never tell you that. She's humble and perfect. She likes everyone. She even likes her untidy roommate's weird guinea pig. Allison, wait, are you texting and driving? Allison, no. That's the exact opposite of what I was just saying about you. Why, Allison? Why? Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Children who grow up in poverty are part of a destructive cycle. At Child Fund International, we find this unacceptable. In 25 countries, we are vigorously fighting poverty and improving the lives of children and their families. Learn more at childfund.org.
News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I am your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live, streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media pages we're up on these days, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, either under Talk El Paso or Andrew J. Polk, for the most part. Maybe a couple technically in between in there. But in any case, yes, I am back live in the flesh, well, in the studio anyway, coming to you live through the radio or whatever medium, again, you are paying attention to. And yeah, there's a lot going on, a lot we'll continue to talk about here. But of course, Talk El Paso, brought to you in part by Sunland Park, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Find them over, of course, right across from, they're now enforcing the name, my understanding, the Shops at Solana, former Sunland Park Mall, right across I-10 from that. And they got a lot of great deals, including the Ram Power Days, where you can get a new 2023 Ram 1500 Lone Star, 0% for up to 72 months. Financing for well-qualified buyers, or 10% off MSRP on all 2023 Jeep Gladiators. Whole lot more deals. Find them again, 950 Crockett Street, Sunland Park, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. So a lot of things we're talking about. And just because the soapbox has got a little bit of dust on it, let's brush that off and get right back into it. Yeah, voter registration, y'all. Make sure you are good to go, because tomorrow is the last day you're going to be able to register to vote in that November uniform and special election. Yeah, that's technically the way that is put here. And it's an off year? Okay, at least two offs in there. And it's, again, for the people listening here in Texas, it is all of the constitutional amendments, of which, again, there are 14. At least one, again, does directly mention El Paso. But if you want to find any of the details on being able to register, make sure you are. Again, our news partners at KFOX 14 have a lot of the links and details, though one of the ones that you can always go to, at least, again, for our region, for those in the El Paso area, epcountyvotes.com. Make sure that you get that. And there is a few things that are on there besides just the constitutional. There is also some issues coming up for the Horizon Regional Municipal Utility District and the Village of Vinton. Vinton got a alder places, about 3 of those, yes, including write-in candidates. So some of these are pass-throughs with there being no one else on it. And then again, one proposition for the Horizon Regional Municipal Utility District. A little bit of a mouthful there. But again, the 14 different propositions, well, not just propositions, but constitutional amendments. A lot of them that sound pretty simple. Like the first one is the constitutional amendment protecting the right to engage in farming, ranching, timber production, horticulture, and wildlife management. These are basically just the names, and the order doesn't necessarily mean anything significant. They were drawn by, I think, poll or randomly, let's just call it that way, and including things involving operating of childcare facilities, wealth taxes. The one that is arguably the most significant is the one, proposition number 4, that is noted to be from the second special session from the Secretary of State for Texas. I'll just read this one in its entirety. The constitutional amendment to authorize the legislature to establish a temporary limit on the maximum appraised value of real property other than a resident's homestead for ad valorem tax purposes, to increase the amount of the exemption from ad valorem taxation by a school district applicable to residents' homesteads from $40,000 to $100,000, to adjust the amount of the limitation on school district ad valorem taxes imposed on the residents' homesteads of the elderly or disabled to reflect increases in certain exemption amounts, to accept certain appropriations to pay for ad valorem tax relief from the constitutional limitation on the rate of growth of appropriations, and authorize the legislature to provide for a 4-year term of office for a member of the board of directors of certain appraisal districts. Now, if that sounded like so much legalese, you're absolutely right there, and it was about as clear as mud. This is the one that came out of, again, I would call it the grand bargain, but getting there was more like pulling teeth, so like a really bad dentist visit, getting to it, and including literal punitive measures put into place by the governor in order to get to this point. This is the one that puts into place the increase in, again, the numbers there may have been the ones that stuck out the most, the increasing of the homestead exemption from $40,000 to $100,000, though, of course, it's a lot more complicated than that. So that's the rubber hits the road moment for that. So they put it into place, but considering that they are changing what was previously coming straight from taxation and turning it into a more coming from state funds. Now, this is not a school funding bill or constitutional amendment, rather, or even what came through in that legislative session. This was just basically changing the calculus a bit. Same amount, basically just changing the immediate funding source so that it comes less from the individual taxpayers, individual homeowners and property owners. Let's put it that way, because, well, as we've seen with the state revenues that have grown over the last few years, those are still coming from taxpayers, just from your, usage taxes, either from sales tax, excise taxes, your registration fees, any of those kind of things, what you pay for at the pump, all of those types of things. I mean, the exact methods are going to be probably a little bit different, but still, it is, again, nothing about this is uncomplicated, but that's one of the more important ones. Though there's another one that we'll probably delve into on a later day. Proposition 11 was the constitutional amendment authorizing the legislature to permit conservation and reclamation districts in El Paso County to issue bonds supported by ad valorem taxes to fund the development and maintenance of parks and recreational facilities. A couple of the counties have been mentioned there as well, like there's one about the eliminating the office of county treasurer in Galveston County. I'm not quite sure what the background on that one is. We probably won't delve into that one quite as much, but there's still a lot of that and a lot of other things. So we'll probably be getting into a couple in the process here, as we are just over a month out. And I'm not going to hold my breath on this one being just a gangbuster voter turnout, but, well, we can always hope. One other thing I want to mention before we get to that next break, before it becomes too much old news, is that, yes, we do have a new chief of police here in the city of El Paso after there was a lot back and forth on it, and finally coming down with the 4 search candidates, finally ending up on the guy who's already been in the job and acting as it and had already been in top leadership within the El Paso Police Department, Peter Pasillas. There was a months-long search, which I know a lot of people, and we had people calling in and saying, why not just go with the local guy? I definitely did not disagree with you, but all of these processes, including what we're going to see happening for we have so many vacant positions and things like that. City manager comes to top of mind as another one. Even if there was a really and readily available dude like, the person who has been serving in that role already has been doing interim city manager Kerry Weston. Whether he wants the job or not is another question, but there's at least my reading into it, a significant amount of CYA. Because if you just hire a dude or a person, whatever, and tell them, okay, you're doing the job, don't screw up, and then they screw up, you have to say, well, why didn't you look at anyone else? And therefore, once these firms are there, I am sure they have great liability and indemnity insurance, because even if the buck shouldn't, the buck's gonna stop with them. So yeah, that's going to be the situation. Well, and the reason that we keep doing these searches, even if this search may not have been as complex. I mean, the 4 candidates came in, they were heard from, most with either local or currently present in local, all with local connections. Most of them, I think, believe 3 out of the 4 present in our local area at the moment, and 1 with previous local connections and outside of the area. So, I mean, you may be saying, like, okay, why can't we have just done this from the start? Again, it's the cover your rear, cover your posterior aspect of it here is significant to me. Nothing against, again, Chief Pacias now. Wish him much luck, and he has, of course, a lot to tackle going into, again, late Chief Greg Allen's shoes, but also just other challenges as constantly going through here. So, looks like we lost the camera there for a second, but should be back up. In any case, that's one of the things going on, and hopefully we'll be able to find out more about any of those other policies. One of the things that I do believe did say in the lead up to this, according to the reporting from El Paso Matters, specifically said, quote, "I look forward to this privilege to humbly lead this organization to work together to solve the problems that we have within the organization so we can serve the community." Specifically addressing, among other things, reporting that had been done by El Paso Matters on this, including dealing with internal issues, internal affairs issues, sexism, other assaults, allegations that have been made. So some of the things going on, but also laying out that some of his priorities will be hiring police officers, a perennial challenge, addressing technology needs, and working to address a rise in teen violence, particularly since the city ended its curfew ordinance. I mean, there might be some challenges going on that, but for the time being, hey, it's the situation. So those are a couple of things going on and percolating through right now. But again, the state legislature more than a little bit impactful, and including in the aftermath of that, ever so slightly contentious removal effort for the still embattled in different ways, but firmly back in his position for now, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. He's now, I'm not going to say threatening revenge, though I could see how you might be able to say it. Looks like that from wherever you may be sitting. Definitely looking at potential legal challenges and cases being filed against particularly the House managers, giving some specific reasoning, but also more about the special session coming on that also is kind of hanging over. In any case, talking a whole lot more about that and the impacts we could be seeing in our Borderland region from that after this next break. You are, of course, tuned in to Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I am your host, Andrew J. Polk. Yes, back live in the flesh, in the studio, and live on air with you. Also, stay tuned. More Talk El Paso after this break here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Stay tuned. Mazer security alarms. They're the ones that were, among other things, holding down the fort around here, even while I was gone, and doing a great job of it, because providing that peace of mind, safety, and security is so important, whether it be here at our offices, wherever you have important things, be it at home, in the workplace, and any in between, that you want a little bit of peace of mind with superior service and protection. Accept no substitutes, because Mazer Security Alarms doing it for more than 40 years, 4 decades here in the Borderland region with their licensed, certified, and experienced install techs. You don't want to miss out on the ability to have them address your security concerns and issue, and you can't afford the best. Ask them about the 690 discount by giving them a call at 915-590-0033. That's 915-590-0033. Mazer Security Alarms.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
With your KFOX 14 news update, I'm Liz Dewicki. KFOX 14 is learning more after 4 people arrested in connection to a string of fights at Canutillo High School. Administrators provided police with a video of one of those fights showing a victim being assaulted by several people. An affidavit says the victim told authorities he was taken by his sister to Strahan Road to, quote, fist fight another person, and he believed about 30 people beat him up. One of the witnesses also telling police all the offenders involved in the fight were part of the same criminal street gang. king. Commercial truck drivers are experiencing hour-long wait times in the Borderland after Customs and Border Protection closed the Bridge of Americas due to the migrant influx. At last check, bridge cargo traffic lanes are currently showing between 2 to 6 hour-long bridge wait times. A Las Cruces man is facing several charges after investigators say he attempted to meet up with an underage girl for sex. Bradley Piper was indicted Wednesday in a federal court in El Paso. Homeland Security agents arrested him back in September after they say he arranged a meetup with a 15-year-old girl and communicated with her over social media. Piper is being held right now without bond and faces at least 10 years in prison. With your KFOX 14 news update, I'm Liz Duicki.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
No wrecks and no big delays on your Borderland freeways right now. In the East Valley, northbound on Memorial Highway, south of Montana up to the Spur, it's just a little under a 5-minute delay due to road work. I-10 westbound is slow, not too bad though, less than 5-minute delays from Red up past Trans Mountain. And police are still at an accident in Yandell at Hawthorne. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
From the KFOX 14 Severe Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Brad Montgomery. Cooler air arriving just in time for the weekend. We will see breezy to windy conditions for your Saturday. Partly cloudy skies, but a high only around 78 degrees for tomorrow. For our Sunday, partly cloudy skies after lows down into the 50s, so maybe a jacket Sunday morning. We'll see a high around 80 degrees for your Sunday afternoon. We do go warmer for your Monday, partly cloudy, 10% chance of a storm, high 86. From the KFOX 14 Severe Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Brad Montgomery.
This report is sponsored by Audible. Escape with the best stories of the year on Audible. Hear celebrity memoirs, mysteries, true crime, sci-fi, and more. Ignite your imagination with audiobooks, podcasts, and originals. Sign up for a free 30-day trial at audible.com.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Keep your family and livelihood safe with Mazer Security Alarms. Systems start at under $35 per month. No job is too small or too large. For your free quote or to upgrade your existing system, call Mazer Security Alarms at 915-590-0033.
Warning. If you are 60 or older, RSV can be a dangerous respiratory virus.
Not all dangers come with warning labels. Talk to your pharmacist or doctor about getting vaccinated against RSV today. Learn more at bewareofrsv.com. This message is brought to you by Pfizer. This report is sponsored by Pfizer.
News Radio 690 KTSM El Paso.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I am your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media pages we're up on these days, Facebook.com/Talk El Paso, the Talk El Paso channel over on YouTube, Twitter at Talk El Paso, or Twitch.tv, Andrew J. Polk. Again, I appreciate you all sticking around with us and being around here to talk about all the things going on. Thank Marco for Mayor over on YouTube chiming in, as well as RJ and others dropping those likes and reacts. We do appreciate it. Again, this is primarily a Facebook thing, but do have Ida Beza Gardner, RJ, Robbie Flores, and Monica Cervantes, among others, with a lot of other people chiming in their different mediums. We're up on most of those here. It's the reason we keep doing it, and why. Hey, if you don't have to memorize all of them, but if you know the one that works best for y'all, hey, that's the right place for you to be as we continue with, trying to do all the things that we do. A couple other points I wanted to get to here before we delve into, everything going on with the Texas legislature. Already kind of touched on it, but a couple interesting things, really from El Paso Inc. over this most recent edition, including El Paso to compete for a part of about $100 million worth of federal grants through the Solar for All program, looking to get that coming to the area. The Mexican American Cultural Center eyes a spring 2024 opening down there near to, and particularly part of the downtown library, as well as a different museum. La Nube is now working on exhibitions, having overcome the damage to the site and the fire that happened on accident earlier this year or late last year. In any case, now actually looking at getting the exhibitions put into place, so fully coming over that. The Children's Museum La Nube with that distinctive cloud-like skyline rooftop? I don't know. Anyway, in downtown El Paso. But again, with the Texas legislature, as much as we have some of the aftermath of previous legislative sessions coming through with that, again, election, and make sure you're registered to vote. epcountyvotes.com, place to check your registration or make sure that you get it in place. If anything's changed, just be better safe than sorry. You know, people who just moved down the street, but it's a new address, and therefore, anyway, just make sure, because if you're not voting, just know that I'm going to be I'm not mad, I'll just be very disappointed. But so, with this special legislative session, that starting as has now been underway, 1 p.m. Monday, what Governor Greg Abbott actually called for and put into place in his statement, specifically referencing the reporting from El Paso Matters on this, what Abbott said, quote, "I am bringing the Texas legislature back for the special session number 3 to continue building on the achievements we accomplished during the 88th regular legislative session and 2 special sessions this summer." And again, it's noted that this is a little bit of a tense time. It hasn't exactly been that simple to get stuff through the Texas legislative sessions, even previously, with a whole lot of end of an 11th hour deals falling right the hell through in the regular session, and then the bickering, mic dropping, kerfuffling, however you want to put it, throughout the rest of the sessions that have happened so far, and just the total kumbaya moment that was the impeachment and the attempted ouster of Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. Yeah, I don't have exactly high hopes for this session, and it's also been noted, and this has probably been one of the more vocal aspects I've been seeing put out there, again, referring directly to El Paso Matters, reporting on here, notably Abbott's agenda, because specifically the agenda calls for education savings accounts for all Texas school children, or taxpayer-funded accounts that parents could use to subsidize alternative education costs. I mean, that's what the governor would like to see. That's what he has tasked them with doing, and the governor is in the driver's seat when it comes to the Texas legislature in their special sessions. He tells them what they can and can't do, or the scope of it anyway. They do then come up with the actual legislation themselves, so the way they go about it, and whether or not the governor then accepts it or not, that becomes then less of a, you didn't do what I told you to, and more of a, well, I'm vetoing this, go back to the drawing board, otherwise I'm going to keep calling you back till we hit the next regular session. He's not saying that, though. It's kind of implicit at this point. Once you start numbering things that usually only happen once or twice every couple of years, yeah, that's an implicit threat of, oh, we got plenty of numbers left to go. Maybe that's just me reading into it, but I don't think it's unreasonable. In any case, again, noted by El Paso Matters, notably Abbott's agenda does not include any other education issues, as they further note on that during the regular session, one of the items that was left on the chopping block was that of school finance, and not in the vouchers or how they're dealing with, but specifically of increasing things like teacher pay raises and per student funding. That didn't happen in the regular session, despite that being one of the priorities, the action items that the governor put into place, though that seems to have been rather subsumed or pushed to the wayside by the education savings accounts, among other things. So there's been some pushback from other members, particularly across party lines within the legislature already. But also, there is just a lot of expectation towards this session, but yeah, and RJ putting it also kind of in the background of this, and definitely going to be impacting of it. RJ putting it pretty succinctly: beware, Democratic reps, AG Paxton lawfare is coming for you. Though it's certainly not limited to the Democrats in this case. Specifically, a couple items from in recent days, both this start of this week and late last week, from the Texas Tribune. two headlines here for you. The one from last week, Ken Paxton endorses candidates challenging House Republicans who impeached him, and specifically promising to be doing a statewide fall tour, including campaign stops for the candidates. So, yeah, he's already saying, oh, you're going to come for me, I'm going to come to your district kind of thing. But it doesn't stop there. The one out new here, again, the article title from the Texas Tribune, Ken Paxton to file criminal complaints against Texas House impeachment managers. Now, you may be wondering, okay, is this just total tit for tat? And, I mean, it is very much going against the people who had gone against him in filing for the case. Not against the whole House of Representatives, but, specifically saying, and the subheadline here again from the Texas Tribune, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton said he will file criminal complaints against the group of state representatives who led his impeachment trial, accusing the lawmakers of violating a state law by releasing his personal information. Saying in a statement, quote, the impeachment managers clearly have a desire to threaten me with harm when they released this information last week. I'm imploring their local prosecutors in each individual district to investigate the criminal offenses that have been committed. Now, it was 12 House representatives specifically being targeted by Paxton, again, as noted there. And, it was going to be all of the House managers, at least that's the claim so far. The statement out Monday, specifically violating a new state law with an October 2nd release of documents related to the case. And noting that, again, Texas Tribune noting that the new legislation cited by Paxton prohibits posting an individual's personal information such as home address or telephone number with the intent to cause harm to that individual or their family. And plans to do it in each of the counties represented by the dozen impeachment managers. So, there's still some questions more about this and more of a plan to do it, but yeah, it's very okay. He's not calling it retaliation, though I could definitely see why that would be seeming to be germane to the conversation at the very least, even if he's citing other specific things. So yeah, this was never going to be done. And if anything came out from some of the things I was hearing during the impeachment trial specifically, was that of the vindictiveness, and I'm not sure bygones is in Ken Paxton's vocabulary, and Mondo Moncada calling it payback, among other things. I mean, there's a lot of different phrases you could put on it here, though. Let's just say, if these weren't the people that were the ones that had been managing from the House side of things, the impeachment trial for Ken Paxton, I would have some grave doubts about this action happening at all, regardless of whatever new legislation is in place or not. So, yes, that wouldn't be, among other things, and James Ratcliffe says, including El Paso State Rep Joe Moody, who was one of those dozen House managers. So, yeah, and James Ratcliffe saying more specifically, I think it was retaliation from the managers against Paxton for threatening some of them with arrest. Again, this is quite the tangled web we are weaving with this whole situation. And again, doesn't bode well for the legislative session. I do have to say, as much as legal sideshows can be argued to sometimes happen or maybe happen pretty constantly, but still, the issue about actually having raises, again, one final article headline from the Texas Tribune on this one, Texas teachers grapple with their raises caught up in a voucher fight. Subheadline noting, as the special session starts with a focus on, quote, school choice, end quote, but no mention of public school funding, some teachers say they're even considering leaving the profession. Of course, some of the issues coming up even before this was that of there being the task force that the governor had ordered, this I'm positive was last year, not the year before, on dealing with the brain drain of teachers, specifically in Texas, and what is it going to take to see that turned around. So yeah, this is probably going to be complicated. Working on some interviews for you, by the way, on that, particularly with the Raise Your Hand Texas group, which we've talked with previously, on what are some of the possibilities, the policies and other parts of this that may be important or significant, and will this be something that is called then back for it? Because, again, sure, the governor can call as many special sessions as the calendar will allow before you can't call a special session during the next regular session, because then it all resets. But I don't know. I mean, there is he doesn't seem too worried about ticking anyone off, though, when it comes to this, given that in the kerfuffle of some of the previous special sessions, the governor put the kibosh on a few dozen, like 70 plus pieces of legislation that had passed and were ready to go to his desk. And he says, no, because y'all can't play nice. So I'm not sure what lines of decorum, decency, and or play nicitude come into play with any of this at this point. We're past push come to shove territory at this point. And Well, we'll see if fistfights break off. Fistfights have broken out in the national legislature previously, I'm saying. I'm not calling for that or hoping that happens, but there's just a lot of consternation and, yes, kerfuffles going on throughout all of this. But let's take that next break right now. Coming out of this break, one of the other local things that we want to make sure we get to, including ethics review complaint against a former city rep. There's a whole lot going on, y'all. Back after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. But I tell you what, just to not lose sight of it, let's go ahead and open up those phone lines, as we usually do at this point during the show anyway, so that number to do so. If you want to call in, add your 2 cents on this or any other things going on and affecting us here in the Borderland, 915-544-5876, 544 KTSM. Back after this break with more Talk El Paso. Stay tuned.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
El Paso freeways are crash-free right now. Got some slowing on Global Reach, 10-minute delays from Liberty Expressway down to Montana. Montana eastbound is slow, McRae out to Zaragoza with an 8-minute delay. And it's 5-minute delays in the East Valley northbound Memorial Highway between Montana and the Spur. Kerry Edwards, El Paso traffic.
This report is sponsored by Discover. If you like using debit over credit, shouldn't you also get rewarded? Well, now you can with Discover Cashback Debit. It's a checking account that rewards everyone with cash back on everyday purchases with no fees, period. Check out eligibility and terms at discover.com/cashback debit. Discover Bank, member FDIC.
We're going abroad for the first time in years. To Spain.
But we don't speak Spanish.
So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks. Babbel's conversational method teaches you real-life words and phrases. And with Babbel's interactive bite-sized lessons, you'll remember what you learned.
¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas? ¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish.
Estoy muy emocionado para ir a España contigo.
Aw, he just said, I'm very excited to go to Spain with you. Nos vamos a divertir mucho.
And that means we're going to have a lot of fun.
Sí. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Hammer and Nails, El Paso's newest men's grooming destination, with your comfort and privacy in mind, and where your favorite brew, spirit, or mixed drink will be waiting for you, along with every cut, shave, manicure, or pedicure visit. Open daily at the fountains at Farrah, Hammer and Nails offers world-class luxury experiences without the pretentious price tag. Visit Hammer and Nails Grooming Shop for Guys online at hammerandnailsgrooming.com to book your next experience. That's hammerandnailsgrooming.com.
Crime is rising as our country suffers from police and community discord. Now more than ever, law enforcement and the people they serve must come together to reconcile differences and advance justice. From Friday, October 6th through Monday, October 9th, National Faith and Blue Weekend will engage officers, residents, and other organizations to build positive relationships, reduce tragedies, and decrease violence. Join the movement today by visiting faithandblue.org to learn more and find an event happening in your community.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. Shopping for new blinds? At Blindster, we offer over 50 different blinds, shades, and shutters at low prices, custom made for your windows, and shipping is free. Shop at home and order 10 free samples of any product before you buy. Blindster.com.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I am your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media pages we're up on these days, facebook.com/Talk El Paso, more or less the main one, where a lot of the comments come in, though this is not to denigrate or ignore any of the other ones, including other Facebook pages, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch.tv, at least the ones I'm aware of. Ones we deal with, we're up other places. Hey, let me know. But in any case, others chiming in, like RJ saying they really need to do away with the unions. I believe you're referring there to the teachers' unions. And I mean, there's a lot of conversation going to be happening with that, and or side conversation, but at least one thing still going on in the city of El Paso anyway. From our news partners at KFOX 14, Ethics Review Commission to review complaint against former city rep Claudio Rodriguez in November, out not too long before our show, that the Ethics Commission will on November 8th and 9th review and discuss the ethics complaints against the former city representative. They do have the full complaint up available over on their site, specifically with the complaint and the information, with some of the information requested to be made public or not, but specifically looking at the parts of the city code being alleged here about the provision Article 2 of the City Code, Chapter 2.92, to include many different numbers and subsections, but general provisions, gifts, reporting requirements, campaign finances, and disclosure of campaign contributions. So it's, how many pages does it end up being? About 6 pages. Okay, there's one like mostly blank one. So 5 pages and change, though we'll say that that former city representative Claudio Rodriguez, from her part, has issued a statement on this one as well, saying in her statement, technically back in September, on the specific part of the complaint once it was filed, she says, while I respect the rights of Mr. Lagan to file such a complaint, I plan to vigorously defend myself, my reputations, and the actions I took while in office. And so the full press release was back as it was filed. It was technically back in August, so we got some timelines here, even if we're looking at now into November for the actual hearing to happen. Just reiterating this one then, quote, I was informed yesterday by the attorney retained by the city of El Paso that the ethics complaint filed by Philip Lagan, L-A-I-G-N, just for reference there, against me has been forwarded to the city's ethics commission. While I respect the rights of Mr. Lagan to file such a complaint, I plan to vigorously defend myself, my reputation, and the actions I took while in office. I will not be making any further statements regarding the nature of this complaint to protect the integrity of the process and to ensure that no outside influence interferes with the facts that I will be presenting to the Ethics Commission. So, as further noted by our news partners at KFOX 14, Rodriguez specifically accused of making 86 transactions using the city's gas card, totaling $5,293. This was previous similar action was taken against current city rep, but this one having against a former city rep is, well, one of the differences here. But let's go and take that next break right now, and we'll get back here and get to those phone lines. Again, we're back here, we're live, and we are taking those phone calls. So if you want to get on the line and add your 2 cents about the things going on here, again, that number to do so, do believe it's working anyway, 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. Back after this break and the top of the hour news here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Stay tuned.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
No freeway crashes in the Borderland right now. An earlier accident in Yandell at Hawthorne is still in the clearing stages. Traffic slow there. Eastbound Montana, McRae to Zaragoza, 7-minute delays. And less than a 5-minute delay on Memorial Highway, northbound from Montana up to the Spur. Kerry Edwards, El Paso traffic.
The El Paso Community Foundation supports the causes you feel passionate about here in the Borderland. Whether it's education, social services, arts and culture, the environment, health, or economic development, the El Paso Community Foundation has been promoting philanthropy and progress in our hometown region for more than 45 years. Make your mark with us. Start a fund today. For good, for El Paso, forever. Learn more at epcf.org. That's epcf.org.
Join the Drug Enforcement Administration in celebrating Red Ribbon Week from October 23rd through the 31st. Take this opportunity to talk to your kids about drugs, participate in drug prevention and education activities in your community, and take the pledge to be drug-free. For more information on how you can celebrate Red Ribbon Week, visit www.dea.gov.
With an open channel,
I guess just try to keep channels open.
We welcome open-minded individuals.
I try to keep an open mind to all issues.
With open arms.
I think we need to always have our eyes open.
For open conversation. And when you open the iHeartRadio app, you open a whole new world. Wherever you are.
What should America do about immigration crisis?
I guess open the borders, but at the same time, check everyone that's coming in.
Open the gates.
A free download in the App Store or at ktsmradio.com. Getting a news feed on your phone while driving
makes driving more difficult.
This is dangerous. Getting a news feed without a computer or mobile device?
It would be impossible.
Unless, of course, you get your live news feeds at the top and bottom of the hour.
It's easy.
Traffic and weather all day.
It's as simple as that.
Trending stories tend to change.
Every minute of every day.
Twice an hour, we'll feed your curiosity.
Stay informed. Shouldn't we listen?
They're hungry.
News Radio 690 KTSM. There won't be much substance on your news feed until you add us. Just like us or click on the link at kcsmradio.com. News on the hour and a half. Traffic and weather all day. News Radio 690 is KTSM AM El Paso, an iHeart radio station.
NBC News Radio. I'm Brian Shook. The death toll in the conflict between Israel and the Palestinian militant group Hamas is up to nearly 1,200, with thousands more injured. Fighting between the two sides continued today after Hamas fighters launched coordinated attacks on Israel over the weekend. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu detailed the loss of life.
The savage attacks that Hamas perpetrated against innocent Israelis are mind-boggling, slaughtering families in their homes, massacring hundreds of young people at an outdoor festival.
At least 11 Americans are among the dead, according to the State Department. Hamas says it will execute hostages on a live broadcast if Israel targets civilians in Gaza. A Hamas spokesperson said they'll respond to any targeting of people in their homes without warning. The militant group claims to have more than 100 hostages, including Israeli army officers. Former President Trump isn't going to Capitol Hill this week while House Republicans debate over who will be the next House Speaker. Multiple news outlets previously reported that he was expected to visit after Kevin McCarthy's ousting. A few Republicans proposed Trump as a potential new Speaker, but he instead publicly endorsed Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan in a social media post. An investigation found Vietnamese government agents tried to put spyware on American lawmakers and journalists' phones. Lisa Taylor reports.
Amnesty International and a consortium of media outlets conducted the probe. Republicans Michael McCaul and John Hoban and Democrats Chris Murphy and Gary Peters all were tagged in posts earlier in the year that had malicious links to install a spyware called Predator. It also found that several CNN reporters were targeted. I'm Lisa Taylor.
Hollywood writers have ratified a new 3-year deal with studios. You're listening to the latest from NBC News Radio. California Governor Gavin Newsom is vetoing a bill that would decriminalize the possession and use of so-called magic mushrooms. Phil Hewlett has more.
The bill included a short list of natural psychedelics. Newsom said regulations need to be established for these substances before they can be legalized. Newsom added that those regulations would include dosing information, therapeutic guidelines, rules to prevent exploitation during guided treatments, and medical clearance of no underlying psychoses. The author of the bill says he'll reintroduce it next year with a focus on therapeutic uses. I'm Phil Hewlett.
Yelling at your kids could be causing long-term damage. New research out of Wingate University and the University College London found that verbal abuse can have lasting repercussions on a child's mental and physical health. The study published this week in the journal Child Abuse and Neglect looked at data from over 45 years. The most common manifestations in children later on in life included depression, aggression, substance use, and other behavioral disorders. It's a big day for explorers. Bree Tennis has the details.
It's said Columbus discovered America in 1492. He was actually looking for a water route from Europe to Asia, but he wasn't the first explorer to the New World. The Vikings were here in the 10th century with Leif Erikson. Historians say you really only know who he is because of SpongeBob. No kidding.
Hey, everybody, it's Leif Erikson Day. Hinga-dinga-durgan.
And while we really don't know which explorer was here first, we do celebrate Indigenous people today.
Crocs and cowboy boots are coming together. The footwear company said last week that it has a new foam clog that resembles a cowboy boot, complete with spurs. A press release said the buzz around a Crocs-inspired cowboy boot has been building for years, creating a fan-fueled movement on social media. Brian Shook, NBC News Radio.
Now, your chance to win $1,000. Enter this nationwide keyword on our website. Bills. That's bills. Enter it now.
Get ready to experience the excitement.
It is the 13th year of the iHeartRadio Music Festival.
The emotions.
I love you guys. I'm so happy to be here tonight.
The surprises.
Are you ready for another I can't believe it moment?
The superstars.
Such an amazing honor to share a stage with so many unbelievable artists.
And of course, the music. Relive the greatest moments from the iHeartRadio Music Festival.
You will not want to miss.
Starting tomorrow, streaming only on Hulu.
This report is sponsored by Blindster.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. At Blindster, we offer over 50 different custom window treatments, including faux wood blinds and shutters, all at prices less than retail. Plus, we'll send you free samples before you buy. Don't hire an expensive pro. Do it yourself and save big at Blindster.com.
Keep your family and livelihood safe with a stable security system from Mazer Security Alarms. Your trusted El Paso security expert since 1982. You can get the best. Systems start at under $35 per month with upfront purchase to lease options and $0 down payment packages available. Get the peace of mind you deserve with Mazer Security Alarms. For your free quote or to upgrade your existing system, call Mazer Security Alarms at 915-590-0033. Mazer Security Alarms.
Why is iHeartRadio the #1 streaming radio app? Free music.
Free live radio stations from all over the country.
Free podcasts.
Free playlists.
Free contests. Free artist radio stations.
Commercial-free stations. It's free. I love iHeartRadio. Join the millions of music, radio, and podcast fans on the #1 streaming radio app now.
iHeartRadio.
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 Free never sounded so good.
News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. Yes, live, local, here in the flesh, in the studio anyway. You can see me on that whole video camera things, but there is a whole lot going on, a whole lot to discuss, and a lot of people chiming in, adding their 2 cents. But yes, I am back. And for anyone just joining us, had a couple of weeks, had to do with some children entering the world, those kind of things, of which I know that there's some other opinions on it there, but John Browsett, if you have brought children into the world, I have to spare a thought for your partner in this case, saying, what happened to the days when women took care of the babies? Men are supposed to work for a living. I mean, yeah, we're doing that here. I mean, this is the first time we've actually taken 2 weeks off, despite every time you're thinking we do. Every day off is at least a month or 2 in length in your mind, it seems like. But it only comes to mind here. And again, whatever your family situation, if it works for you, great. But I'm just possessed by an idea of, you got that kid out yet? All right. You good? When's dinner? Okay, you do you. I'm going to do me, and making sure we were good and dealing with this whole new situation is the reason for the couple weeks off. If that has not been your experience, again, good luck to you and all involved. In any case, other comments coming in, including on the whole thing with the Texas legislature, as we are now getting into and underway as of today with that next special session. No word on yet if it'll be the last one for this time around. I'm not going to hold my breath on that one just yet. But in any case, the school vouchers, school savings accounts, it still remains to be seen what format this will take. And even before we got to all of these kerfuffles involving just the legislature, the personalities in it, the tit for tat, the retaliation, however you want to put it. Again, not exactly a kumbaya kind of situation going on right now. But even on this one, I mean, there has been, of course, differences between party lines on this, but even across party lines, there's been bipartisan opposition to this issue, including from notably rural Republican representatives within the state legislature, that is, because of concerns about, well, essentially effects on Friday Night Lights is what it kind of boils down to, from the best way I'll put that, given how high schools can be not even just educational, but cultural centers of a community, particularly, with Friday night football games. And given those are going on, we're still in those right now, right? Again, I've been out of it for a minute, so pardon me for that one. Not that I've been to a high school football game since high school. And anyway, in any case, that may make a quite rallying cry this time around. The idea that there could be impacts on, again, these are very important institutions for, rural counties and things like that. I mean, sure, we've got some huge counties in Texas, El Paso County being one of them, but we're the 7th largest, I believe, in the state of Texas, which, I mean, yeah, it's nothing to sneeze at, but it's not even making the top 5 is interesting for a state, considering that if El Paso was part of New Mexico, we would be the largest county in that. In any case, point is that there are still tons of counties out there that have like not even just handfuls of people, but less than, like in the hundreds or the low thousands, and they still have representative power. And so all of that still kind of remains unaddressed. And I haven't really seen anything. There's been plenty of think pieces on dealing with this whole issue and models to be found and followed from other states. But as some of them putting it on here, like a little bit more generously for John, maybe here, government schools need a competition to get better. But then Buddy Baez also chiming in saying government schools cannot compete with schools that only take the best kids. So yeah, it's a complicated issue. And again, no real grand bargain that I've seen. And I'm not going to hold my breath on it happening this time around of actually like going through and being made into effect without certain legislative miracles. And again, that's not even worth holding your breath about. In any case, let's get back to those phone lines now and more conversation, including Robert Gable about the Convention of States, hoping that there'll be a special session on it, on the sunset clause for the Texas Convention of States, originally passed in 2017. As much as I know that's an important issue to you, and I don't mean to dash your hopes, given the high priorities the governor has, that even some of the ones that people have been clamoring for in mass about, say, teacher pay raises and other funding, maybe it'll get squeezed in, but I wouldn't bet on it. I'm just going to put it that way. In any case, get to those phone lines. Now, again, that number, if you want to get on the line, okay, just fold up at the moment. But again, if you're on the line, stay there, 915-544-5876. We do have a Marco over in Central on the line with us here right now. Marco, thanks for joining us.
How's it going, Andrew?
Doing all right there. What's on your mind?
So my mom was bothering me, and he was like, you better tell Andrew this. I have to tell you this, but I have to tell you in Spanish, okay? So
okay.
My mom was like, dile a Andrew muchas bendiciones para su niño y que es una bendición de Dios. So much wishes from my mother. God bless you, and that your child's a gift from God. So that's my mother's wishes for you.
Well, gracias a todos y a su madre. I much appreciate it greatly.
Thank you, brother. Hey, so I want to... Man, it seems like we live in a mad world, brother. And every day you just do not get rest at all. So I want my condolences go out to all the people of Israel, and absolutely condone. I do not condone, and I strongly, in the most possible bad words that I can think of. Hopefully, we can take care of Hamas. And just get rid of that whole issue in the Middle East. But you know what? Here, I want to say that I don't know if it'll be controversial, but
probably.
Look, it probably will be. Look, Jordanians are Palestinians, okay, and Palestinians are Jordanians, and we lose this in the conversation of Palestine, and they have the West Bank, and this is just. This is such a mess. I mean, if you look at the people in the Golan Heights, you have both Christians, Jews, and Muslims that live in absolute peace. And so you don't know why. I can't begin to tell you why this happened, but I will say this. Releasing $6 billion to Iran was a bad idea in exchange for hostages, because I'm very sure that some of that money was used to facilitate some of this insanity. I mean, this was absolutely Red Dawn stuff, Andrew. You had people in paragliders. You had people in trucks, dump trucks, drones. I mean, this is like Cobra stuff. And then to say that the Mossad, look, I'm not going to go down conspiracy rules, but I will say this. The breakdown in just information is so bad, and I don't even know where to start.
I'll just say this, because this is developing right now, and as much as violence in the Middle East has been a feature in my entire lifetime, and I mean, this is not the local stuff, and I got people shouting at me about Friday right now. I will say this, that situation as is continuing to evolve over in Israel and the Gaza Strip having been one of the particular focuses here, I mean, it is bad. And to answer one of the specific questions, James Ratcliffe, did I get it right that Americans were killed as well? Yes, that is at least 11 have died, United States citizens in that, and more are expected to be held hostage at this point. So this is still continuing to develop, and we do trust that our national news partners will keep abreast of this one. We certainly will talk about this on Friday if we don't get to any more hugely impacting things. I mean, if we look at significant escalations, we have broken that rule in the past when, like, the invasion of Ukraine happened. So we're not totally, agnostic of everything else going on. They could certainly be seeing things here. At the moment, support has been pledged by the United States. No boots on the ground kind of situations, and specifically saying not boots on the ground. But I will say that, I mean, it is Friday territory, but it is developing right now. So I certainly understand the impetus to talk about it.
Let's hope and pray that for peace, ultimate peace. And, yes, I want to say also this about Greg Abbott to all the Democrats. I want you to remember what I'm about to tell you. Initiate Order 66. Because that's exactly what's about to happen to you Democrats. And I want to say it in this fashion. You reap what you sow. Stop persecuting your political adversaries. Because a lot of the times, it's just a bunch of people who are butthurt. And this is exactly the nonsense that we don't need in America right now. We need stability, we need level heads, and we really need to just stop attacking each other. And there's going to the local issues here. I mean, look, I'm going to say this to the city council because I am running for mayor. And when I come in, all this, the way we abuse of the people will end. There will be no gas cards, no expenditure cards. I will have a very deep discussion with the city manager, and we will end every facet. Look, I think this is a fair conversation to have, and I understand why the city councilmen are using this because they do have somewhat of a high level demand of a job, but I will change that. So when we go in right now, we have a 3-day work week. I'm gonna see if we can move that to a full 5-day work week. But along with that, I will bring to the people a discussion of increased pay raises for the city council. But we have to get everything in order. That means the city manager produces bills that for all the projects she's going to do. And as a city representative, which you all are elected, you will vote on these bills. We will start taking accountability for the citizens of this city because it makes no sense to just put forth all these proposals. And we almost have our own omnibus here in El Paso. It's like we lump sum all these expenditures, and then we expect the average citizen to be like, oh, well, I didn't know you were working on these projects. Yeah, it's in this lump sum over here. And we really need to start again. Matt Gaetz set this in motion, and I'm going to keep the ball rolling. We are going to make government accountable to the people. So you city representatives, I know you like the little title behind your name, but when I become mayor, you better get ready to get your ass in gear. Really, we're going to get to work for the people.
Fair enough here. And we'll keep seeing what happens on that. Again, we have some more news updates coming from our news partners at KFOX 14 on some of the things being considered, though. There have been, the Ethics Commission is continuing on that one, but we'll see how that one progresses next month. Not much that can really happen from it, I do have to say, because, I mean, they can do anything individually. They could recommend removal from office, which would be a moot point in this case, as the person, again, the former city rep in this case being talked about here, that of Claudia Lizette Rodriguez already out of office. But, well, there's more ethics complaints stuff that has been going on around this, so I don't see this issue being over maybe by the time we get to that 2024 November election, but we'll see.
Hopefully it will, brother. And I want to tell everybody, God bless you. Love your children, love your families, and be responsible with your freedom every day. Marco for mayor, and I love you all. Thank you, Andrew.
Appreciate the point on the call. You have a good one there.
You too, brother. Have a good one.
All right, and with that, we got to take that next break right now. Coming out of this break, we'll get to more of those phone calls on the line there. If you want to get on the line, do you have a line available now? One call ends, line becomes available, etc. 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. If you're on the line, stay there. We'll be with you shortly. Otherwise, again, 915-544-5876. Back after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Stay tuned.
News Radio 690. Traffic all day.
El Paso Fire, Police, and Medical all on the scene of a crash in the East Valley, northbound Memorial Highway at Montana. That accident's blocking 2 right lanes. Stay to the left to get by that. There's delays. Then there's more heavy traffic northbound of Memorial from Montana up to the Spur with another 5-minute delay. Slow traffic Montana, eastbound McRae out to Zaragoza is a 10-minute backup. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
These days, high prices are forcing Americans to make hard decisions.
Do I buy the toothpaste or the toilet paper?
We have a better way. Inflation compensation. $1,000 price busting prize. Be listening for your shot to win a grand.
Inflation compensation on News Radio 690 AM is brought to you by Mazer Security Systems, providing El Pasoans state-of-the-art protection and peace of mind for more than 30 years.
This report is sponsored by Blindster.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. Since 2010, Blindster has sold millions of custom blinds, shades, and shutters to satisfied customers across the country with 20,000 5-star reviews and an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. Custom blinds at low prices and free shipping. Blindster.com.
Jesse Kelly here. Do you feel protected? My personal protection plan is owning gold. The Oxford Gold Group helps you buy gold to have on hand or convert it into your 401k. If things get weird, I have gold on hand. I like that. You can buy coins or convert part of your 401k with the Oxford Gold Group. It's easy and safe. 833-995-GOLD. That's 833-995-GOLD. 833-995-GOLD.
Looking for top-notch personal protection? The Smith & Wesson Equalizer is here to level the playing field. Easy to rack slide, easy to control ergonomic grip. It's designed for you. With a 10, 13, and 15-round magazine included, size up for better control or size down for easier concealment. Don't miss out on the opportunity to upgrade your safety. Visit your local dealer now. To learn more about the Equalizer, visit smith-wesson.com. Smith & Wesson, empowering Americans. All capacity sizes may not be available in your jurisdiction. Be sure to check your local laws and regulations.
Hi, this is Dr. Brad Schaefer. As a podiatrist, I can tell you no two people's feet are alike, which is why I recommend Dr. Scholl's custom fit orthotic inserts. They're customized for your feet, so you get a unique solution your feet really need, not just a one-size-fits-all insole. They're clinically proven to provide pain relief for achy feet, knees, lower back, plantar fasciitis, and heels. Take the Dr. Scholl's custom fit orthotics assessment in Walmart today, now in the foot care aisle.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
News Radio 690 KTSM El Paso.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you also very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I am your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media pages we're up on these days, facebook.com/Talk El Paso, the Talk El Paso channel over on YouTube, Twitter at Talk El Paso, or twitch.tv, Andrew J. Polk. A lot of people tuning in, chiming in over there, including over on the YouTube specifically. There's a lot of conversation going on about the situation in the Middle East right now, and it's going to continue evolving, and I'm going to keep abreast of it, and I'm sure it'll come up by Friday at the very least. Any other local impact or things affecting us right here in this region we'll certainly get to as well, but I will say that Robert Gable certainly agreed with this statement of peace in Jerusalem and Israel. There's this current situation, to my understanding of it, is not good, to put it very, very, very mildly, but in any case, stopping of the hostilities would be a good first step that may be fleeting. In any case, a lot of other stuff going on and affecting and directly affecting us here in the Borderland region. So let's get back to that and back to those phone lines on this right now. Again, if you want to chime in and add your 2 cents on the local issues here today, Friday's coming, y'all. Always is. 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. We do have Raul in the Northeast in line with us here right now. Raul, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Andrew. Well, congratulations on becoming a father.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much. What's on your mind?
Big deal, you know.
Yeah, a little bit.
Time immemorial, American Indians and Alaskan Natives and Native Hawaiians, they built a vibrant and diverse cultures here in the Americas. And this is from the White House statement that came out today, where the President of the United States says he hereby proclaims October 11th. Oh, well, that was previous. Today they called Indigenous Peoples Day.
Correct.
In any case, you know. So, Western civilization and capitalist colonization was disastrous for the Native Americans. The Europeans, claiming to be Christians, by the way, ran off and murdered Native Americans for their lands in what became known as part of Manifest Destiny. You know, and then later on they declared the Monroe Doctrine, and then they went to war to Mexico to steal some more land, steal half of the country. You know, so anyone who's ranting and raving about illegal immigrants, unless you're a descendant from Native Americans, then you're anchor babies and hypocrites, as far as I'm concerned. So that's what I had to say on that. Now, on a local issue, and again, for Marco for mayor, about what's called enhanced geothermal energy production. Now, this was something that was investigated by scientists at Los Alamos Laboratories back when Jimmy Carter was president, and OPEC came into being, and then immediately jacked up the price of oil, doubled it overnight to retaliate over the latest war between Jews and Arabs that were taking place back then in the Middle East. So these guys started thinking about, well, would there be a way to tap, if there is any energy underneath the ground? And so they started looking into that, and they found out that if you dig a hole anywhere from 2 to 4 miles deep into the ground, in not everywhere, but in many, many places, that you'll find pockets of heat.
Sure.
And in other places, you find water. So that if you can get water into these 2 to 4 mile holes in the ground, it creates steam. And with the steam, you can create turbines and electricity. Now, here we got a giant pieces of land around El Paso because of Fort Bliss and White Sands and Holloman Air Force Base. I mean, huge tracts of land, okay, that they play, I guess they go out and play war out there, you know, war game it. But
one way to put it.
It's out in the desert, receives a lot of heat, and guess what? There's water underneath there. In the Waco Bowl Zone, there's an aquifer. Most of it is brackish water.
Sure.
But with that electricity, and that steam, we could turn it into fresh water. We could turn that giant swath of land out there into an oasis. If we had big dreams, if we thought of ways to solve basic problems and not allow energy monopolists like J.P. Morgan to control our destiny as far as that's concerned. Now, this kind of idea, I don't know about the deep holes, the geothermal holes, but I know Dana Portard, former general of Fort Bliss, was working on, trying to make Fort Bliss, get them off the grid and independent, and they did it through solar panels and so forth. But again, there's an opportunity. And I happen to think we live in a country where innovative solutions to problems that threaten existing economic interests, like the energy plutocrats in America, they don't get done, okay? They shut down that program after a time over there in Los Alamos. And that's an example of technological feats, because this is the country that sent men to the moon and back. This is the country that split the atom. This is the country that rebuilt, Europe and Japan after World War II. But we can't come up with a simple solution for energy. I don't buy it.
What I'll say is this, is that you might be conflating just groundwater with geothermal possibilities here. So, and in that, there's most people have heard about the idea, you dig down deep enough, or like Carlsbad Caverns, a good example there in our larger region overall, is at a pretty constant temperature once you're inside the cavern. I want to say it's around like 50, 60 degrees. I don't know it exactly offhand, but yeah, you get down into the ground here deep enough, and there's a pretty constant temperature. So they can be used for things like root cellars or stuff like that, but it's only certain areas, regardless of the presence of water or not, that it's able to be used for the geothermal part of it. I actually got the chance to visit some geothermal plants years ago, actually in New Zealand, because they have a lot of geologic, essentially volcanic activity is what it amounts to without actually having the volcanoes, but similar types of things. So it's like kind of a perfect squeeze. Like you could try to do geothermal over like, Kilauea and in the Hawaiian Islands, except for the land use requirements, which are already pretty tight over there, except for the fact that they have the lava flowing there. So it's a pretty perfect squeeze, and it still comes with it's almost a Faustian bargain, because in the areas that do that, they tend to have a lot of seismological activity. The first time I really recognized I was feeling an earthquake was when I was also nearby some of those plants in some of those areas. So this is not to say that it would be impossible in our region. We do have truth or consequences, hot springs, and things like that. Those are the kind of things that point to possibilities of geothermal being an aspect. So it's not just groundwater. Groundwater is good for having water, but if you don't then have the energy component of it, it has to be hot. Think like, sure, someone could turn Yellowstone into, and the geysers out that way, they could turn those. We're thinking about the wrong national park, but anyway, Old Faithful could technically be used for geothermal energy, though I'm sure a lot more people would be up in a lot of arms about that. But again, that's the kind of stuff, the kind of physically present issues that have to be there in order for geothermal to work. So geothermal does exist, whether or not it's continuing to be developed or not. Really, the kind of bugaboo with that whole situation is that it takes a lot of infrastructure. I mean, even as you put it there yourself, a 2 to 4 mile hole, I don't think anyone would be under the impression that that's a particularly simple process. And I think it actually is not quite that extensive, but even then, it's a good kind of case in point of how difficult it is, because the geothermal plants that I was able to visit, they cover acres and acres. So, I mean, it's possible, and it can work in areas. I don't think it can work in our immediate, at least the El Paso County itself. I'm not aware of any particular geothermal potentialities from any of the geologists I've talked about previously. Sure, obviously Franklin Mountains, we have had massive amounts of seismic activity happening, but whether or not it's still viable and it will be workable in this way, solar would probably be the better way, which is part of what that land use could be used for, which is why we mentioned in that latest edition of El Paso Inc. El Paso to compete for a $100 million solar power grant. So it's I think that might be a better avenue to look for it at that way in terms of dealing with it. And I will say for the part of it there that the El Paso Electric did provide a statement to El Paso Wing saying they support the city's application for this process. So again, there's possibilities, but it's more dependent on is the area right for it, as opposed to can you shoehorn it in places, because it's you either have it or you don't. And for again, El Paso County, unless there's hot springs that I'm completely unaware of, I would love to know about them. Don't think it would work in El Paso County. You'd have to go further up into New Mexico, basically. So appreciate the point and the call on that one there. And if you're celebrating Indigenous Persons Day, more power to you. And they do a different thing. Polish heritage is celebrated at this time up in the Chicago area, and was mentioned during one of the news breaks there, Leif Erikson Day, among other things. So whatever works for you, just invite me for the cake. Anyway, got to take that next break right now. Coming out of this break, we'll get to more of those calls on the line, more of the commentary, more of the things that, hey, we talk about here in the Borderland. So if you want to get on that line now available, 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. Back after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Stay tuned.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
With your KFOX 14 news update, I'm Liz Dubicki. The city of El Paso expected to discuss a review complaint against a former city representative. The city's Ethics Review Commission looking into the complaint filed against former city representative Claudia Rodriguez next month. That complaint filed against her back on August 28th. That was for her misuse of tax-funded gas cards in office. An interview found that she, along with the city representative Cassandra Hernandez, spent thousands of dollars worth in gas compared to their other colleagues. A 24-year-old man was killed after an early morning motorcycle crash in Las Cruces. Police say Christian Joe Franco was killed at about 3:30 a.m. this morning. Investigators say he was the only person involved in the crash, which happened on Main and Wyatt Drive. This just in as well to the KFOX 14 newsroom, an investigation revealing that the fire that broke out at an apartment complex was set intentionally. That's according to the El Paso Fire Department Marshal's Office. As we reported, a fire broke out at the Salazar Park Apartments in South Central El Paso about a week ago. The apartments reported to be vacant vacant at the time of the fire. No arrests have been made at this time. With your KFOX 14 News Update, I'm Liz Duwicki.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
A crash on northbound Loop 375 in the East Valley at Montana is blocking 2 right lanes. Fire and police are on the scene. Merge to the right to get by that. Also some slowing on Memorial northbound from Montana up to the Spur with an extra 5-minute delay. Global Reach is slow southbound from the Spur to Montana, 10-minute delays and 7-minute delays eastbound Montana from McRae out to Zaragoza. Kerry Edwards, El Paso traffic.
From the KFOX 14 Severe Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Brad Montgomery. Temperatures are going to be heating up for our Tuesday. Partly cloudy for tomorrow. We'll see a high around 88 degrees. Still nice for your Wednesday morning. Lows in the 50s and 60s. Mostly sunny, breezy to windy though. Low 90s by Wednesday afternoon. We'll see mostly sunny, windy conditions on Thursday. High 86. But it looks like we'll get back in the 70s by Friday. From the KFOX 14 Severe Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Brad Montgomery.
This report is sponsored by Indeed.com. As the leaves change, leave the hiring to Indeed. Their all-in-one hiring platform helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place. And Indeed's interview tool lets you schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from their website. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
For the local issues and discussion you won't get anywhere else, turn to Talk El Paso. Weekdays at 4 right here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Brought to you in part by the El Paso Community Foundation. Sound off on what matters to you. Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. And let's talk El Paso.
It's Zero Week at Casa Buick GMC Used Cars. Yes, right now, all used cars, trucks, and SUVs will be sold for 0 down payment and 0 payments until 2024. Yes, and Casa Buick GMC will be selling every used vehicle for 0 over the corporate parameters of profit and loss. And no one has more inventory. Now you've got 0 excuses for not driving a great sport, 4x4, economy, or even luxury makes like Mercedes, BMW, Porsche, and more. Example, 2020 GMC Elevation, $27,777. 2022 GMC Sierra Pro, $46,777. Going on now. Casa Buick GMC Used Cars, Montana at Airway.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. Since 2010, Blindster has sold millions of custom blinds, shades, and shutters to satisfied customers across the country with 20,000 5-star reviews and an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. Custom blinds at low prices and free shipping. Blindster.com.
This report is sponsored by Blindster.com.
City streets or small towns, everyone deserves a clean, green community. We are Keep America Beautiful, the nonprofit working to end littering, improve recycling, and beautify communities. Let's do beautiful things. Visit KAB.org.
Always just minutes away from the latest news around town and around the world.
You need to know what's going on.
News Radio 690 KTSM. El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I am your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live, streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media pages we're up on these days, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, either under Talk El Paso or Andrew J. Polk. A lot of commentary coming in there, including Renato Rivera calling it that AJP Jr.'s first words, call 915-544-KTSM. There are going to have to be a lot of conversations we're going to have and maturity being shown before he's going to be able to listen to this show, y'all. I'm not saying this isn't family friendly, but I wouldn't necessarily call this for kids. Let's just put it that way. We gotta find a different way to do it here. But anyway, other conversations going, including James Radcliffe chiming in about other power possibilities, along with RJ saying we do have a solution for power, oil, gas, and coal, but gas and coal, rather. But a lot of other conversations, things going on. Yes, recognitions of the international news going on right now. But as we need to, we'll address it. And Friday's always coming. Appreciate that from Robert Gable, as always. But also saying, I'm not saying you have to miss anyone at any particular point in time, but we appreciate those willing to be a part of it and participate in the conversation. Anyway, to that point, and getting right back at it, are going to squeeze in the phone calls we can before the end of the hour here. And we got a couple on the line, but if you do want to still squeeze on that number to do so, 915-544-5876. We do have Frankie and Messi on the line with us here right now. Frankie, thanks for joining us.
All right. When I called you the first time, I asked you what the topics of the day, and nothing interested me until I heard the news break about this Claudia girl.
Oh, yep.
That was one of your topics. Spending 1,000 gallons of gas more than anybody else. So what does this mean? What she's got some kind of car that gets 10 miles to the gallon? What is she selling gas to her family members or some kind of an open credit card thing? What is that?
So we could get pretty quickly into problematic language here, but I'll just quote from our reporting from our news partners at KFOX 14 that an internal review found that she, along with current city representative Cassandra Hernandez, they were both on city council at the time this review was the focus on, they both spent thousands of dollars in gas compared to their colleagues. So the situation is that there was essentially a gas card program for city council members that we've talked about this at quite a length. The best kind of encapsulation I've got is that this program, no one is really sure who started it or who was really administering it, but that the way it seemed to work is that city reps were given a card, told to use it for covering their needs as city reps. And that was about it. So not a lot of accountability, not a lot of guidelines in place, and which is one of the kerfuffles that have been going on this whole time about does this ethics review even make sense if we're talking about policies being violated if there necessarily weren't explicit policies. Now, I will say in this case, again, the full complaint that's available from, again, the article titled Ethics Review Commission to Review Complaint Against Former City Rep Claudia Rodriguez in November does cite that there were several sectors of the Article 2 of the City Code Chapter 2.92 to include general provisions, gifts, reporting requirements, campaign finances, and disclosure of campaign contributions. In at least one of their circumstances, there was a suggestion that they're using this for while driving around to do campaigning. So, I mean, there are maybe other subsets that apply to it, though. I have to say the idea of either completely reforming or eliminating this program, it's basically on hold, if not completely having the kibosh put onto it. I think that's one of the things that the acting or the interim city manager has done in the meantime, saying, oh, no, we ain't doing this at all right now, because there are other programs like purchasing programs in which they have cards, they have things, and they have budgets that they use along with them. And the fact that these weren't happening all the same way, it's just kind of baffling. And, well, if I had found out about this program before any of this came to light, I'd say, like, y'all realize that this is rife for problems, right? And then I would be saying, massive, I told you so. I'm sure there's someone in city government that said this at some point. Someone said, don't worry about it, or something to that effect, and that they are just having the most I told you so's ever right now.
Well, it sounds like a bunch of hanky-panky, some silly, stupid nonsense. Listen, when I was in the federal government, they gave me a gas card, and the gas card was designed for my government-issued vehicle. Now, what I could do, if I wanted to, which I never did, was drive one of my performance cars up to the government gas station and put gas in it, which I wouldn't do because it's all regular gas, and my poor performance car would not do well in performance. But so now, this is nonsense. So what is this nonsense? She went off the deep end and said that, hey, I got a way to screw over the El Paso voters and then just use this to buy gas for myself, for my friends, for my mother, my brother, my sister, my uncle's aunt. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying that necessarily happened, though there has been in the progress of reporting here, I want to say mostly involving that of current city rep Cassandra Hernandez, of the potential for her family having used the gas cards, among other things. That has been part of the review and part of the evidence that was presented there. So I'm not going to totally rehash it in this case, but there being a lack of similar types of controls and almost before this process, almost no accounting, there's just a whole lot. Again, this sounded, again, had I found out about this at any point in time before this, I wouldn't even A, imagine that this existed, and B, I would have called this a ticking time bomb in which the fuse getting very close, if not to the wick indeed.
Well, I just don't understand why, elected officials, government officials just can't. I followed all the rules and regulations when I was in the federal government and doing my yippee-yi-yay stuff. I don't understand what these people trying to screw over the system. Now, having said that, now, this big thing, this whole thing with this Israeli harvest stuff, this is nuts. This has been going on for 5,000 years or longer. I don't know. Now, I don't know. I could come up with a solution for this thing, but I know a lot of your callers will do, oh, there goes Frankie off the deep end again, and he's going to have another whiskey and a beer, and he's off the nut job. This is nuts. This goes on forever. And I don't care. Just Jesus Christ, the Holy Ghost, and God himself could come down here and not fix it. This is a human circumstance. And it's so simple to fix, in my estimation. So simple to fix. But unless you want to listen to me, and I got me, Messiah Frankie, with the great solution, then you're going to keep up for another 5,000 years for crying out loud. And that's my ending comment.
Fair enough. And again, I'm sure we'll get more into that on Friday here. And I've said this in terms of other things as well, but it certainly applies to that situation. I would certainly say is that it'll take a lot of people making a conscious choice to step away from the brink for anything significantly to change in that way. And it doesn't seem that those that are currently making decisions are necessarily inclined towards doing that. But we'll talk more about that situation, and we'll see what comes out of November 8th and 9th is when that City Ethics Review Commission will be taking up this particular part of the case here. So appreciate the boy on the call. You have a good one there.
Okay, Andrew. Hey, congratulations. A brand new dad. Way to go, Andrew. All right.
Yep, and I'm pretty sure I could start carrying luggage in the bags under my eyes, but we'll keep trucking on.
I love it, baby. You the best, baby. You the best.
All right, have a good one there.
All right.
I think we have time for one more call on the line here before we get to the end of the program. We do have Richard in the Northeast on line with us here right now. Richard, thanks for joining us.
Well, welcome back. It's probably been over a month since I called in. How you doing?
No, doing all right here. We've only been out for a couple of weeks and change, but appreciate you giving us a call here. What's on your mind?
Well, again, congratulations, number one. And,
appreciate it.
Just a couple things. Just a quick, brief observation, of course, with the news over there that's non-local. I've been on Fort Bliss the past couple of days, and from what I gather, there's no call to duty to send deployments over to that region, and all I know is the Navy. So the only people I'm aware of are, I believe, the 2nd Brigade are still in Poland.
Right.
No talk of anybody moving any, but that could change in time to come depending on what's going on here.
True, and that's one of the things we'd keep the eye on. And if there were to be changes on that, we'd certainly talk about as much as would be made public. We start getting into loose lips, ship situations there. I do feel like they'll all say.
And real quick, while you were gone, I enjoyed. I think it was a replay on your weekend show about the historic preservation when you had Max Grossman on, a few others. And
yep.
I hope you continue to have some of those because I think those are just as important too. And I've called in about that before. So
sure.
Good stuff. And lastly, I'm paying attention to the local elections because I'm really formerly a resident of New Mexico, and it just seems like the national scene, a lot of pettiness and tit for tat. I don't need that. And Marco, a good example. I like what you're saying, but with you and all the other people running for positions, I need to hear more details and some concrete stuff, not the pie in the sky kind of stuff. I need to know how these things are going to get done because there's a lot of things here that I think need to be addressed in a growing city like El Paso. So I look forward to hearing more discussion on that.
Sure.
Without the tit-tat and without the, badgering of candidates and so forth. To me, that's gotten old. I'm going to be more discriminative about what I hear. So I want to share that, and I'll call you back when you got more time.
No, I appreciate that. And I'll say this when it comes to candidate coverage is that and the rings when we do our candidate interviews, of which we do have some campaigns that are already starting underway. I've been starting to see a ton of the sheriff's race signs up because, this is practically generational at this point in time, that shift coming. So we'll probably be delving into that one. We've got another significant law enforcement related one with the, I think we lost Richard there. Okay. I was going to say bye to you, Richard, but appreciate the point in the call in any case. But what was I saying? Oh, right. We've got the district attorney's office, at least a few people potentially running for that one as well, if not more. At the very least, we've got the sitting dude, Bill Hicks, appointed by Governor Greg Abbott in the interim after the ouster of the previous district attorney for El Paso. And then the previous runner-up candidate, James Montoya, has been making a lot of statements on that. So there's a lot of elections coming on here, but the way we handle our interviews with him is, sure, if there have been specific accusations, statements, claims made, we give him a chance to usually talk or come back to that one. But when we talk about it with candidates, we want to know what their policies are, because frankly, if someone is only in opposition to someone saying, I'm not this guy, therefore vote for me, that is just so vapid in my mind. It is just so, it's thought free. There's no substance there. So if someone And even if they have great ideas, the pie in the sky kind of stuff that Richard was talking about there, if you got great ideas but no way to then actually implement them, like, again, it's a great policy. I would love the idea of everyone should be happy all the time. Great. How are you going to do it? Oh, you're just going to mandate that everyone wears smiles on their faces, or they get taken out to the wood line. No, that obviously the policy and then the implementation, the devil is always in the details. So, I mean, there are certain things like sheriffs and, again, the district attorney, that they have some very specific duties and things that have to be done, but still various ways they could accomplish it, and that could change the way that we live parts of our lives here in the Borderland region. And so those will be the things we'll really be wanting to get to them with, because if we don't know what they're going to do, I'm worried that at least in some of these cases, it's Buddy Pie saying in one of those policies, like a monorail to Las Cruces. Listen, if I win, I need to get tickets right after we're off the show, y'all, to get that, what is it, the Powerball, this one? I'd gotten some tickets for my birthday right now, but unfortunately it didn't pan out. Even if I win, I'm still going to be on air, because we might just get even more out there with the opinions, to be honest with y'all. But I would say light rail connecting the region all the way from Van Horn to Las Cruces would make sense. As a public project, maybe not. As someone that just has way too much money, like someone willing that, what is it, like $1.5 billion right now? I mean, $700 million and change if you get the cash option, but still, that's a pretty good chunk of change. And I think that it could both help and further boost economic development here. But again, that's a whole nother thing. But I'm getting really far afield here. In any case, talking about specifics of what people coming into office, what they want to do, as opposed to, I want to make things better. Cool. How are you going to do that? In what specific ways? And which ways can we judge the metrics of how you achieve that or not? Anything less than that is, well, so much claptrap. In any case, we got to take that next break right now. Coming out of the break, tell you a little bit about what we got coming up for you and we're going to talk about here on the program. So stay tuned. A little bit more Talk El Paso after this break here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Stay tuned.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
An earlier crash on Memorial Highway northbound in Montana, blocking 2 right lanes. Several vehicles involved in 8-minute delays. Stop and go traffic going back to Zaragoza. Traffic is slow after Montana 2 on the loop. Northbound on Memorial Highway up to the spur, it's another 5-minute delay. That's mainly due to road work. Slow traffic on Montana eastbound McRae out to Zaragoza. 7-minute delays. Kerry Edwards, El Paso traffic.
This report is sponsored by Blindster.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. If you're like many people, you may think custom blinds is a job for expensive professionals. Well, at Blindster, if you have a tape measure and a screwdriver, you can install our custom blinds and save big. Plus, we guarantee they'll fit. Blindster.com.
Hey guys, this is Andrew J. Polk. My not-so-secret way of looking and feeling great is going to Hammer and Nails, El Paso's newest men's grooming destination, with everything about your personal grooming, privacy, and comfort in mind. Ready with your favorite drink at the door. They offer everything from head to toe, hair, beard, mustache, and hand and foot services. You want to find out about their full services and their great memberships. Of course, find them online, hammerandnailsgrooming.com. That's hammer, A-N-D, nailsgrooming.com. And I'll see you there.
Join the Drug Enforcement Administration in celebrating Red Ribbon Week from October 23rd through the 31st. Take this opportunity to talk to your kids about drugs, participate in drug prevention and education activities in your community, and take the pledge to be drug-free. For more information on how you can celebrate Red Ribbon Week, visit www.dea.gov.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency on earth, and if you owe back taxes, the news isn't good. The IRS is raising the interest rate it charges on unpaid taxes, and further rate hikes are expected. Most people don't know it, but the IRS adds interest charges to your tax debts daily. So if you owe the IRS today, you'll owe even more tomorrow. And it doesn't stop until you get right with the IRS. The good news is getting right can start with one phone call to Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax relief firm. Optima's tax professionals specialize in the Fresh Start Initiative, a powerful IRS program that can save you thousands if you qualify. In fact, the experts at Optima have resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients. Call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-953-1788. 800-953-1788. 800-953-1788.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
With an open channel,
I guess just try to keep channels open.
we welcome open-minded individuals
I try to keep an open mind to all issues.
with open arms
I think we need to always have our eyes open.
for open conversation. And when you open the iHeartRadio app, you open a whole new world. Wherever you are.
What should America do about immigration crisis?
I guess open the borders, but at the same time, check everyone that's coming in.
Open the gates.
A free download in the App Store or at ktsmradio.com.
Teens in foster care will love you, even if you don't know the lingo.
Dad bod, noun. The result of the occasional donut, always washed down with confidence.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council. Visit adoptuskids.org.
Recently, we hit the streets and found out how informed people really are.
Yes, I'm on top of events.
Most news, yes.
Except for these two.
I am not on top of events.
I'm not on top of my events, no.
They were clueless that every morning they can plug into the world with the news, weather, and traffic info that'll make their lives so much easier and more informed. Just like you and I do. Stay informed with El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM. News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for having joined us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I am your host, Andrew J. Polk. A lot of stuff been going on, a lot of ground that we have covered, and a lot of conversation still going on in the comments about some of the international things. Again, we'll keep our eye on that one, and Friday is always coming. But in the meantime, we got a lot more of the local stuff that we'll be talking on here. I feel like it's time for a review of some of those transportation projects coming up here. So we can get on with a text dot about all those things going on. But then also we got, again, the Texas legislative session, some of those inputs on what the heck is going on during this session. What are some of the important things that will or may not be getting addressed there, particularly with the Raise Your Hand Texas group we have had on previously, but also a whole lot more. So a lot of stuff coming on here. And again, elections, y'all. Make sure you're registered to vote. Tomorrow is the last day. And actually, you can't do it today because a lot of those offices are closed because, yeah, it's a federal holiday, but do it tomorrow. October 10th, last chance you got. So we'll have to leave it there for today because we are out of time here for this program. I do want to thank everyone that did it. Tune in, call and comment, participate in the show. We'll do it again tomorrow as we do every Monday through Friday. And yes, we still have replacement shows in. So I'm still going to count it every Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. right here on News Radio 690 KTSM. So until then, until next time, I want you all to stay safe out there. Look twice for motorcycles when out on the road and have a great evening, y'all. We'll see you tomorrow.